Hey guys, it's Mitchell, and today we're going to talk about what to look for in a laptop. Hey guys, it's Mitchell Losey and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, subscribe so that you get updated when I post my new videos. I try to post videos at least once a week, so you'll want to stay informed. Will you? I don't know. Alright guys, so today I want to talk about laptops, specifically because I have this old laptop and it's too old. It does not do what I need it to do anymore, and I need to find myself a new laptop. So right now I have my desktop computer, which is my main workhorse, and I love it. I built it myself. It's good enough at the moment for what I need it to do. And I also have this old laptop. I got it senior year of high school, so that's like 6 years ago. So at this point it's pretty outdated. It works, it still works. When I first got it, this thing was like the thing to get. It was when touchscreens started just being added to laptops, so this thing's a touchscreen. And at the time it was an ultra portable laptop that was super thin, but now by today's standards it's pretty hefty for what it is. So yeah, my laptop is an Acer Aspire. It's got an i5 in it, probably a 5500. It's got 8 gigabytes of RAM and it has like a around 500 gigabytes of storage. They also had like a hybrid drive in there, so it booted up in like less than 16 seconds, and that worked for a while, but now it's kind of stopped doing that. And some things just don't work on it anymore. Like the sound does not work. One day it was just like, I'm done, and then no more sound for me coming out of the speakers on this thing. Can't even plug in headphones, so that's super frustrating if I'm trying to watch videos, if I want to listen to music. Not on here. Also, the backlit keyboard blew out, which I don't know why. It still kind of works if I, bend it in the right spot, but that doesn't work anymore, which kind of sucks. And then with like keeping up with the things that I'm doing, especially now that I have to like edit all these videos, this thing definitely won't keep up with that. It freezes all the time. I'm always having to restart it, and sometimes when I restart it, the internet won't work. Won't connect to the network that's around, so it's just like super frustrating, which yeah. So yeah, and I know I have like my desktop PC, but sometimes I just want to like sit on the couch, watch TV while having a laptop. Like, it's a great computer, I love it, but like I have to be at I have to be in this room if I want to use it, so that just kind of sucks. I love to be able to like take my laptop places, work anywhere, that kind of thing. Definitely in the market for a laptop. But this year in 2018, there are so many options for laptops. It's so hard to figure out what to even get. So I'm gonna try to break down what I think would be right for what type of user, kind of help you guys figure out what might fit into what you need. So yeah, I'm gonna kind of like walk through the different specifications for laptops, kind of talk about what's good for what you should be shopping for the different use cases that you might have. So let's get started. So the first thing you need to figure out is, what are you gonna be using this for? You need to figure out what type of a user you are, what different applications you're gonna be running on it, what's like the hardest use case this thing's gonna go under, and that's gonna determine everything else. So if you are a light browser, like you just use it to use the internet, maybe you do a few little like spreadsheets, not much, no real like hardcore applications being open, there's that set of users. And then if you're more of like a mild user, you're surfing the web with a bunch of tabs, you're streaming videos, watching Netflix, whatever. And then you're also using some like lighter applications, maybe a little bit of light gaming. There's that user case. So like the general day-to-day person, just like you use a laptop most of your day, you need to get work done on it. And then there's like the power user, who's gonna be doing all those things I previously said, but then using like really heavy applications, like any of the Adobe, Photoshop, Premiere, that kind of stuff. 3D modeling like SolidWorks, AutoCAD, that type of stuff, or just anything where you need a bunch of processing power, you're gonna be kind of like the super user. So then from those categories, that pretty much divides right up to what kind of processor you should get. That's the central processing unit. It's the main brain of the computer. Kind of does what it says. It's going to pretty much determine how many tasks you can do at once and how fast you're going to be able to do them. So if you're looking at Intel, that's the main things that I would go for. You have their i3, their i5, or their i7 versions of their CPUs. There's also the lower versions like the Core M3s, the Core different ones. Pretty much what you should be looking for is anything that is dual core or quad core now. The latest processors are coming out, which are like the 8000 version of the I number. Those are all quad core now, which is a step up from the previous ones that were all dual core. You pretty much get like twice as much processing power because you have, instead of only having 2 pathways to get things done, you have 4 pathways to get things done. So if you're that light user that's just kind of browsing the web, maybe watching some Netflix, streaming a few things, not really doing any gaming or heavy applications, you're going to be under that i3. That's going to be right for you. If you're the more medium user who has some light applications, maybe a little bit of gaming, you're going to want the i5. And then if you're that pro user who's editing stuff or doing rendering, you know, any 3D object applications, you're going to want that i7 so you get those tasks done faster. After the processor, one of the next most important things is going to be how much RAM you should get. So RAM stands for Random Access Memory. So what RAM does is it stores all of the data that you're currently using. So if you have a bunch of browser tabs open, it's going to keep all of that stored stuff that's currently being used, needs to be accessed really quickly in that location on that little chip of RAM. The more you have, the more multitasking you can do. That's pretty much how much multitasking you're going to do and how much RAM are going to go hand in hand. So if you have a lot of things you're going to be doing, if you want to have multiple applications open and be able to switch between them really fast, you're going to want more RAM. So my recommendation in RAM is in 2018, the least you're going to want is 8 gigabytes now. Previously it's been 4 gigabytes, but now that's not even going to be enough for you. So if you're that light user, you're going to want to probably stick around 8 gigabytes at the lowest. You could go 4, but you're going to see some things slowing down on your computer. So if you want it nice and snappy, I would say 8 gigabytes. If you're that medium user, I would definitely recommend 16 gigabytes. And if you're that power user, if you can afford it, definitely go for 32 gigabytes, but you might not need it, so you might be able to stay 16 gigabytes. I think 16 gigabytes is the sweet spot, but it all comes down to what you can afford and what your use case will be for this. The next thing that it comes down to with picking out a laptop is how much storage you have. So that's going to be your hard storage that's going to keep all your files, anything that you save onto the computer is going to be stored here. And nowadays it's either between a solid state drive or a hard disk drive. So what that means is this hard disk drive, there's literally a little platter that spins around and it writes code onto it to remember all the things. So that's going to be slower. Where you have solid state drive, so there's no moving parts. It literally is kind of like a flash drive, but bigger and faster. So that means data can be written to it and taken off really quickly. So the tricky thing here is that the more you can get is always better because files are getting bigger and bigger these days. So the more the better. But the other thing is hard disks are a lot slower than a solid state drive is. So if you have a solid state drive and your operating system's on that, your system is going to be so much snappier, so much faster, and it's totally worth it. The problem is, the higher the SSD, the more expensive your laptop's going to be because that is like the premium stuff. It is getting cheaper, but it's still pretty expensive. Most laptops are going to start around 128 gigabytes, which is going to be barely enough. You're going to want at least 256 gigabytes, but if you can definitely afford it with a solid state drive, go for 512 gigabytes, or if you can get a terabyte, if you can afford that, it's totally going to be worth it because then you get super quick storage. You move files back and forth super quick, and you're also going to be able to load applications so fast. It really makes the big difference. If you have an old laptop that has a hard disk drive and you can swap out a solid state drive, that's going to boost your computer's speed, it's going to make it fast, and it's going to make an old laptop kind of feel like new. So that's always a great option. If you can't, you're definitely going to want at least a terabyte of hard disk drive so you have plenty of space. They're not very expensive compared to solid state drives. And also with drives, If you don't care about how thin your computer is and it's thicker, you can always get a combination of solid state drives and hard drives. It'll come with a combo of about like a 128 solid state drive, maybe a 256 solid state drive, but then also have a 1 terabyte hard disk drive. And that's so that you can have your operating system on the solid state drive. You'll have a really fast experience with the operating system. It'll start up really fast. But then you also have your hard disk drive, so your computer can store its permanent files where you're just saving things and it doesn't need to access stuff as fast. So that's always a great option. But if you're looking at portability, it's probably going to come down to a solid state drive, and you're going to have to weigh your options there. So the last thing to think about when you're trying to think about what kind of a laptop you want to buy is the form factor. So if you are, say, a college student or something, you're probably going to want a 2-in-1 so that you can have it fold into a tablet. You can have a stylus, you can take handwritten notes. If you're more of just kind of working on it, you don't need that. You can just do a clamshell where it doesn't fold in half all the way around. It just closes like a normal laptop. Or else you can do something where it's like the Surface Pro, where it's just a tablet, but then it has a fancy keyboard cover that kind of makes it into a pseudo laptop. But my personal preference, this laptop I've had was a touchscreen. It didn't turn into a 2-in-1, but I hardly used the touchscreen. So if you're not gonna get a 2-in-1, it's really not worth paying the extra price to get touchscreen for it. Some people like it so they can like scroll through the web pages by just using their finger on the screen. I didn't like that because my screen gets all smudgy, and it felt weird when it doesn't open up into a tablet. In my personal opinion, I would say if it's not a 2-in-1, don't bother with a touchscreen. Oh, and another thing with screens is that if you're working on stuff that needs to be color accurate, like photo editing, video editing, or anything like that, you're probably going to want an IPS panel because those are super color accurate. So you're going to want to look for it to have an IPS panel. If you're not, it doesn't really matter. You want it to at least be full HD. 4K on a laptop doesn't really make too much sense because the screen's only so big. So it's going to look just as clear as if you have the full HD. So if it comes down to that with price, go with the full HD. You can save some money on the screen so then you can have more for like a solid state drive or more RAM. So yeah, those are kind of the things you want to look for, kind of think about, figure out what kind of user you are, then look at the different things. Anything's going to be a good option. You just got to think about how portable you want it to be, how powerful you need it to be. I would say an i5 with 16 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage on a solid state drive. That'd be a good option if you're going for like an ultra portable. If you're gonna be doing like video editing, 3D rendering stuff, video gaming for sure, you're definitely gonna want an i7, 16 gigabytes RAM at least, and then you're probably gonna need a bigger drive, so maybe a combination of drives. Whatever is going to work for you. You just going to have to think about which use case will be best for you there. And then another thing with gaming, you can also look out for if you're going to go for more of like a gaming laptop. We're going to want to get a good graphics card if you're going to play graphic intensive games like first person shooters, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Grand Theft Auto, Fortnite even. You're going to want a good graphics card in it. Some of the newer laptops come with a graphics card built in. They'll come with like a NVIDIA 1050 or a 1060. They'll just add more cost, but it's definitely worth it if you're into gaming or even video editing. That'll help out too. So yeah, for what I'm looking for, I'm probably going to need like an i7 with 16 gigabytes of RAM, hopefully like 512 gigabytes of storage on an SSD. Probably not a graphics card because I'm going to want something more portable so that I can take it with me, go work in a coffee shop, edit a video, or just work anywhere with a nice light ultra portable laptop. So another important thing with a laptop now that it's 2018 is to get one that has a USB-C Thunderbolt 3 port. That is going to be super helpful. It'll allow you to hook up to a 4K monitor. It'll actually allow you to hook up to like 2 or 3 4K monitors from a single port. It'll allow you to move files at like super speeds. You can also hook up a graphics card externally, so you could, if you wanted a thin ultra portable laptop, but you still wanted graphics power for if you're editing, playing video games. They sell portable graphics cards in a nice form factor that you could keep on your desk, and then when you're playing on your desk, you just hook it right in and you have a graphics card. It's that insanely cool. Yeah, so that's also really important to look for in a laptop, is making sure it has at least one USB-C Thunderbolt 3 port. for sure. So yeah, with all the laptops that are out there this year, there's a lot of good options. It just kind of depends on your use case. Do you want a 2-in-1? Do you want a tablet? Do you want a real full laptop? You just kind of think about that, and then think about your use case to figure out what type of performance you need and which parts are going to get you that. Hopefully this video will help you kind of see what you should go for and help you make a decision to figure out what you need. And if you have any good recommendations for a laptop, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you're using for a laptop. What do you like in a laptop? Any of that stuff, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. And if you're not subscribed already, get subscribed so you know when I post new videos, and like this video if you liked it. If it's helpful, it really helps me out. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. All right, bye.